Welcome to another episode, everyone. This white woman just exposed this secret obsession that white men have with black men. She says that every white man that she runs across asks her if she has ever dated or slept with a black man. Because if she has, then she has thus been tainted. But they are obsessed with us. We live apparently rent-free in their heads.
This is reason 10,000 why racism is rooted in jealousy. Tell me why I received this message of a white man saying, well, you look like you've dated black men, and if you have, none of us want you. I didn't know this was an attitude that a lot of white men hold, but apparently they think that white women who sleep with black men or with brown men, they become tainted in some way, and they no longer want that white woman. But this is absolutely rooted in jealousy, because why would it matter to them unless black men made them feel insecure? There is something about black men sleeping with white women who they view as their possessions that really gets them feeling angry, like they aren't good enough, because let's face it, they aren't. And white men are obsessed with black men's penises. Like, they talk about it often online. You'll see comments like, I bet she takes black dick or whatever. And it's fucking weird and genuinely unsettling how much they talk about black men. If they weren't insecure, if they didn't feel jealous, then why would they talk about it? They wouldn't.
Wow. They are that obsessed? They online talking about black men's lower regions? This is deep.
Last year, and he goes, so who do you typically date? The guys that look like me? I knew exactly what he was getting at, because most white guys will ask this question at some point because they're trying to figure out ultimately if you're, quote, tainted. I literally said to him, does it bother you that you think about black men so much more than they will ever think about you? And that ended the conversation, but obviously we didn't go on a second date, and I do think he was pretty offended by that. But the amount of white guys, even who are, quote, liberal, who are genuinely threatened and intimidated by you going on a date with people of color is ridiculous. Because it's not just black men. If they find out that you've dated a South Asian man or you've been on dates with women, specifically women of color, they will react similarly. Although it is obviously the most pronounced and genuinely disgusted that they will look if you say that you have been on dates with black men. But this is just one example of white men trying to figure out the, quote, purity of the white women they're seeing. And it's a way of resource guarding their own women because they don't like white women seeing other races or other genders.
Men of other races are envious of...
Wow. So she said it. She just exposed the hidden truth that these individuals are obsessed with us. She said everyone that she runs across, they're sending online, everything else, talking about the black man's size, the size of his lower region, and want to know if she has slept with one. And says that, get a similar reaction if it's any person of color, but specifically black men, of course, will garner the most outrage from these individuals. They are irritated the most by the thought that one of their women has been bedded down, excuse me, by a brother.
black men's ability to build muscle in the gym. Now imagine if black men had economic and political power. How would that make other races of men feel? And now imagine why we don't. These concepts are related. They are not separate.
For some reason, the sort of elite kind of enlightenment white men have always obsessed over men's bodies. And we've seen that a little bit here and there. And yeah, we also know that Grindr crashed during the RNC and blah, blah, blah. And we do know that our fearless leader loves to touch very handsome men. But I'm not going to get into sort of the sort of sexual preference or anything. This is really about how these men through history have always sort of ogled men's bodies. And at the same time, in the past, when the Atlantic slave trade and the Middle Passage was going on, the scientific revolution was also exploding. So what did these sort of budding scientists get fixated on? black bodies with phrenology and all of that, but there's more to that. With phrenology, they were trying to prove that, like, according to skull shape, you know, African men had like smaller brains or smaller intellect according to white men. Yes. Yeah. And I studied this in research with my book, which takes place on a plantation in the 1760s. So this is what I've been reading for the past like 2 years. And so what I mean by this is that there were instances where these men, these writers and stuff, are writing just about how the black body and specifically was like made for like high performance, which, you know, you can equate that nowadays with like sports athletes, artists, and things like that. But there was like this obsession that Enlightenment white men had about black bodies, men, and yes, women, but like the men, there's a residue there.
What I've observed in my 28 years of being on this planet is that you could be a gangster, you could be a black guy who speaks perfect English, you could be dressed in a suit and tie, you could be in a fucking work outfit. White people, particularly white guys, will always be scared of you. Like, I don't know why though. Like dead ass. Like they white boys just real scared of us black men. Like, I'm sorry, that's just a fact. That's something I've observed and as I've seen all my life, no matter how I am, no matter how I look, no matter how big I am, you know what I'm saying, how much muscle I got on or whatnot, they will always be scared of me. They're scared of us. And I don't know why. I really don't know why. Is it because of how media depict us? Is it because of our bass in our voice? Is it because of our height? Like, I really don't know. But white boys really are scared of black men.
Dr. Hacker, it doesn't appear as though you really paint a very pretty picture of white people in general, insofar as you see white-black race relations. Can you?
Well, I mean, if they're scared, and I'm just going off of what he said, reacting to what he said, if this is true, that they are scared, it's not because of our size. There are many white individuals who are large individuals who are big men, big corn-fed men. So it's not necessarily just because of our size, I would say. It would probably relate more back to a guilt complex. What would you think? What would you feel if you raped a man's daughter, you know, and then killed her, tortured her, and then did the same thing to his mother and his father and his son and made him watch? What would you be feeling if you had to walk around that man after that? You'd probably be feeling a little guilty, a little nervous, thinking, well, this dude is liable to snap on me at some point for all that I've done to his family, to him. I deleted his entire family in the most brutal of fashions. So yeah, they're probably looking at you, wondering when you're going to snap and seek retribution. Like anyone, probably any normal human being would seek retribution in a scenario such as that, and that is indeed the situation. So it's just a guilt complex. They're wondering when their day is coming, just thinking, well, it's probably coming because of all of the harm that we've done, the crimes against humanity.
Expound on that, sir.
Well, interestingly, you use the phrase race relations. I don't think there are many relations between black and white people. What I would say very simply is that those of us who are born with this pigmentation have certain privileges, things we can take for granted, you know. We have the safety, the security, so we don't want to lose this. Now, this also means that, and here's the unpleasant part, that so much of our safety, security, status comes from putting down black people, saying we're not like them. We're Europeans. We're more highly evolved. We've got talents they don't have. And that's where you get, the flip side of this, which really is the ugly side of racism.
Mm-hmm. Well, how much does sex and sexuality really have to do with race relations, particularly between white men and black men?
Well, if you take white men and black men, let's take it two ways.
Okay.
If a white man is walking down the street and he sees a couple, a very attractive black man, really masculine, and with him a very attractive white woman, very white, we'll make her blonde, He looks at that woman and he wonders, this is the white man, what does she see in him? What do they do together? And it really drives us, up the wall. Because she's a woman who could choose, a white guy, but she chooses a black guy. And that really bothers us. And as a result, what we want to do is some way take that black man away. Because we begin to say, hey, is she having a better time with him, in various ways than she can with me? And so he's competition for us. And you know how people react to competition.
She's having a better time with him in various ways, he said. We know what he means by that, right? In the bedroom, getting bent over, touching those ankles. Bam, bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. He's saying the black man does it better. We don't have a chance with our own women once they went black. They're not coming back. Oh, they're upset. That's an old man still thinking about this stuff, talking about this stuff. Wow. Whoa. Man, can't we live? Jeez.
I was brought up in, quote, Bedford-Stuyvesant in my time. But I would like to say what scares us is I think we hear violence.
The young lady said she's afraid of violence. And isn't it sad that we who have been the victims of so much violence, now whites fear violence from us? We do not have a history of killing white people. White people have a history of killing us. See? And what you fear, may I say this, sir? What you fear, and it's a deep guilt thing that white folks suffer. You are afraid that if we ever come to power, we will do to you and your fathers what you and your people have done to us. And I think you are judging us by the state of your own mind, and that is not necessarily the mind of black people.
This may be surprised, but if you ask me, white men probably fetishize black men's bodies the most, although not always sexually from a space of gratification, but through this vicarious consumption of black men's bodies. We see it mostly to me in sports, but also in porn, in the arts, etc. We see it in how white men sexualize and castrated black men during lynches. And the most heinous acts of white terrorism from the past, from Rosewood to Tulsa to St. Louis, were often in the name of protecting the virtue of white women from black men. Basically, since slavery, black men's sexuality has been imprisoned by this intersection of racist and misandrous violence. And over time, as with many cultural taboos, in a conservative society, it has turned into genuine fetish and kink. Myths about the size of black men's penis, black men as excellent lovers, the celebration of idealized black men's physiques, a bevy of sex toys meant to resemble the mythologized, disembodied phallus of black men, along with more than a few jokes, tropes, and myths about black men's sexuality. Things that aren't only fetishized by white men and women, but men and women of all races, black women included, and black men as well. Black men today still participate in and or reject this image and what that means for us in terms of sex. To start, and this is something that will be repeated, of all the things stripped from us as men, this mythology is one thing that, while distorted, we still have some level of agency over, and in many ways, it's a key component to some of us finding avenues for success and personal capital through our arts.
Let's be honest, we all know this shit ain't got nothing to do with a motherfucking beard. White men are jealous of black men, especially in the army. You see it every day. No matter what color, race, anything you see how them black men get treated. Even from basic training, I've never heard a drill sergeant say to a white male, oh, you think you're back on the block. They only say that to to black dudes. They only say it to the black soldiers. That right there is just evident in how racist and stereotypical they are. But when it comes down to it, what they be the most mad about is that black people naturally and effortlessly exceed the standard physically in everything they do. And white men, while they can, and they do, they have to put a lot more work in it. With black people, that shit come easily. So they're jealous. It's really that simple. Those are my thoughts.
Swear to God that a lot of racism is rooted in sexual jealousy about specifically black men, but most other races I've noticed that white men are jealous. And while this is more typically pronounced in regards to black men because of these stereotypes about black men's, there is a lot of envy from white men for men of color for very different reasons. Maybe it's the stereotypes of them being perceived as hardworking or dedicated, ambitious individuals, all of things that a lot of white men struggle with. Not to mention the way that a lot of Indian people could come to the US and literally start a business and thrive is really impressive. But it's just crazy how much racism is rooted in jealousy, specifically white men's inability to satisfy women, because that seems to be a problem that quite a lot of people have reported with white partners or husbands. Even with my content, I get a lot of white men in my DMs who want me to bully them or like sexually talk to them, down to them in a weird way, genuinely have inferiority complexes. I mean, these people are seriously psychologically upset and depressed over the way that they look. And so whatever amount of superiority they claim to feel on their white skin certainly doesn't extend to the bedroom. I will just say that.
Listen, when you hear...
Say it ain't so, Sammy. You depressed over the way you look? You feel inferior? She just said that it's been purported for some time that you individuals are not satisfying your partners when you close the bedroom door. That she is unsatisfied. This is why you're fantasizing about black men and black men's bodies and how much they are able to satisfy women, because she just said that your own women, this does not have anything to do with us, that your own women are saying that you are not satisfying them. This is an ongoing thing in your community, apparently, in your culture, that you're not satisfying Samantha. And therefore, Samantha comes over to Tyrone, and Tyrone, he does what he does, and now you guys are really mad. That's what they said. Oh, man.
Vets and soldiers in their 20s, 30s, and 40s talking about, oh, I got 100% disability. I got this retirement. I make this much a month doing nothing. Then you hear them talking about, I bought this house. I got this degree. I traveled here. I seen this. I seen that. I did this. I did that. When you hear all that type of stuff, man, it's enough to make anybody jealous. Hell, there's some people in the military that get jealous when they hear it because some people got in, maximized everything, and got out. I get it. I understand where y'all coming from. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And when y'all get on social media talking about, oh, the military easy, oh, they only do that because they scared to be civilians, all of this stuff, man, it's just jealousy. That's all it is, 100%. Listen, the recruiting station is the easiest door to walk into in life. You can walk in there any time of the day. It's easy to get into than church. Everybody got the same opportunity to walk through those doors and say, hey, I want to join. But everybody won't get in. And you'll meet people who won't get in and they live their whole life resenting everybody that did get in and try to make it seem like, oh, they only doing this because of that and blase, when the whole time you never served because you couldn't serve. Y'all got to start being real with y'allself, man, and stop making up all these fake and false narratives because you just jealous of the things that people get when they serve. Y'all feel like, oh, well, if you join the military and you didn't die, you don't supposed to get nothing. Come on, man. Y'all better start being real with y'allself. And then it's like the military is the only career where people get shamed for working 20 years. You rather somebody go work at a warehouse for 30, 40 years, go work at FedEx for 50 years, whatever the case may be, the post office. At the end of the day, man, y'all just jealous. And I get it. I'm jealous sometimes when I see all the things that certain soldiers got in the small amount of time that they served that I didn't get in a long amount of time that I served. I get it. I understand where y'all coming from. I'm a hater sometimes too. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, man.
What he was getting at, because most white guys will ask this question at some point because they're trying to figure out ultimately if you're, quote, tainted. I literally said to him, does it bother you that you think about black men so much more than they will ever think about you?
These two books right here, I keep telling y'all to go read these two books. White Men Can't Hump as Good as Black Men. Race and Sex in America's Volume 1 and 2. Take a screenshot, okay? Or Amazon. Great book. Great book. It explains this entire mentality surrounded when it comes to white males' obsession with black men's schnitzel sticks. It goes into the
Man, obsession. Worried about our shadongs, our hot dogs, our hot links. Can we live? Can we do our thing? Hey, I've never asked a black woman who I've gotten with, hey, have you been with a white man? I never crossed my mind to ask her that question. I don't give a damn who she been with. Well, I mean, I do, but as long as she bending over touching your ankles for me right now, we good. Who else you touch them for? Before me, before I knew you, it's none of my concern. As long as you were careful and safe and you were protected, you're not carrying anything, whatever, So it matters who you slept with, but I'm saying the race or whatever doesn't matter. I never said, have you slept with a Hispanic dude? Never crossed my mind to think like that or to say something like that. These people are crazy, man. Obsessed. This white supremacy is crazy. I mean, they're sitting here pressuring, torturing these women, these poor women, who they approach or, end up dating or whatever. And these women go on a date with these dudes, and the first thing they ask them is, have you ever been with a brother? Ever? Let me know now, because if you have, it's all bad. You've been tainted. I'm out of here. Dang. That's what's on your mind? Not finding you a wife, someone to bear your children. Seeing if you got a good girl before you, a good woman. No, you don't care about any of that. Before you get that far, you need to know one thing and one thing only. The thing that's most important on your mind, 24 hours a day, apparently. The obsession with black people in this country is uncanny, spooky even. What's the deal? Leave us alone. Get your own pizzazz, your own spunk, your own spirit and energy and creativity. But since they have absolutely none, zero culture, they have to usurp ours, extract from ours, which keeps us on their mind 24 hours a day. They probably sit there when they're, arguing with their wife saying, you just want a black man. You just want a black man to come in here and give it to you. They say stuff like that, bro. I guarantee you. Charlie Sheen called his wife, his ex-wife now, Denise Richards, the N-word. She's not even black. But he got mad at her and said, you're acting like a N-word. Charlie Sheen of 2.5 Men's fame. Yes, some time back. This is what they do when they get upset. But she's white. But he said, you're acting like one. So whatever they were arguing, whatever she said, however she was acting, he said, you acting like and called her N-word. Why are you thinking about us with your why you got us on your mind arguing with your own people? Calling your own people the N-word. Just can't stop thinking about us. And then Charlie Sheen's best man at his wedding was what? You know what? A brother. So when he got caught up in that scandal, because Denise Richards, she exposed it, his wife, ex-wife, she trying to get back at him, you know. They're beefing hard. She put it out there that he did this. He was caught, pretty much admitted it, whatever. Charlie Sheen. And said, I feel bad. I want to apologize to my best man. The best man at my wedding. Wow. These people are not your friend. This is your best man? This your friend? Oh, you got friends that are black, right? So much so that he's your best man at your wedding. This your boy. A brother. But as soon as you get mad at your wife behind your boy's back, you calling her the N-word. They not your friend. When will you understand? I want to apologize to my best man. No, you said what you said. You feel what's in your heart is in your heart. You feel how you feel, bro. Don't apologize. Couldn't be my best friend.
The psyche, it goes into the history, it goes into the mental makeup of white America's obsession, specifically white male obsession with the black male schnitzel stick, right? How a lot of these issues and problems that we arise and their obsession with it, right, goes into the black male sexual stigmas and all of these different things about our bodies and things, because we often highlight and talk about black women, but we never highlight and talk about hypersexualization and objectification of black male bodies, right? Which we both go through. That's why I always say these debates we have in our community about, oh, who's going to the struggle Olympics? Like, we go through the same shit. We really do. But they've always been obsessed with black men. Always have. Why do you think there's an entire category that's, obsessed upon by white men? BBC. Or you got they're always have these obsessions with black men, taking their wives and shit. They have an entire section for that. CUCK fetish, right? Hell, I even knew that was a big thing in my last unit when I was in the Marine Corps. All them white boys was having those, seeking out what they call bulls, black bulls, to do their wives. Video recording, they sell it, right? One of my partner's staff sergeant at the motor pool at that time, dark skinned black dude, black as hell, and that's the type they go after. And yeah, that's how he would make money on the side in the Marine Corps, fucking white dudes' wives. The same way white women have this secret, obsession with black women, their hair and their bodies and things like that, these white men do the same thing with black men. The same fucking thing. Even when you go back, throughout, during, Jim Crow or slavery or whatnot. Of course, we know about like book breaking, how, Massa wife would even, the same way Massa would make the female slaves, come in and take advantage of them, Massa wife would do the same thing to black men. Same fucking thing. Or when you go to when they would terrorize and burn down and destroy black towns, what was the reason 99.9% of the time? Because it was behind a white woman saying she was taken advantage of by a black man. And now the white man got to go burn the whole city down. When they would, hang black men during Jim Crow or even slavery, but, we going chronologically, let's go Jim Crow. What would be the main? They would gather around this black man that they've already, taken his life and burned him alive. What was the first thing they would do? Strip him naked, castrate him. What was the point of that?
We know exactly what the point of that was. And it's true, and Malcolm X talked about it as well, that when he was ushering men in, ushering Johns in, in his criminal days that these white women, when their husbands would go and fight in the war, so they would go overseas, that black men were coming through while their husbands were gone. This is really, at a time when they were not supposed to be doing this. In the 50s and 40s, black men were coming through. White women were sending for black men and paying them to come through and bust them down in the bedroom while their husbands, these are married women, are overseas fighting for the country, dying, fighting in the war. They're in the bedroom giving sloppy toppy to a brother because they're obsessed with a black man's body. And so you just heard it, multiple individuals saying how these individuals are obsessed. White men are obsessed with black men's bodies. And it does date back to a very, very, very long time ago. This is crazy. I see why. No, I gotta be careful, man. Don't walk up to me no more talking about, oh man, oh yeah, touching on me and all this. Stay back. Stay back. After this, stay back. Nah, I thought that all of that was innocent. Oh, what's up, man? You a big dude, and this and that. They tell me that all the time. Yeah. No, stay back. Be careful with your comments with me from now on, man. All right? You've been exposed by your own folks. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is nasty work. Stay safe. Leave our bodies alone. And stay free, sick mother people.